Welcome to the Conspiracy Atlas. In this episode, I will be talking about the War of the Anunnaki, Custodians, and the Tartarians. A popular thread in alternate history and certain conspiracy theories, from ancient mythology to archaeology, to certain speculative metaphysics, often weaved together into a grand cosmic war that evidently shaped Earth and humanity. I will be diving deep into each deity, so let's get started. The Anunnaki, the ancient astronaut gods. The origin, Sumerian mythology. The main idea, basically, is they were extraterrestrial beings who came from a planet called Nibiru, according to the Zakarian Sitchin's theories. The Anunnaki are often described in ancient Mesopotamian texts as powerful deities. In the 20th century, they were reimagined by Sitchin as a race of advanced alien beings who genetically modified early humans to serve as a labor force, especially for gold mining. Enki and Enlil are two major figures in the Anunnaki myth. Enki is often portrayed as sympathetic to humanity, while Enlil is more authoritarian and destructive. The Anunnaki's role in the war. They're often framed as early rulers of Earth who created humans and held power over ancient civilizations like Sumer, Egypt, and possibly even Atlantis. Eventually they splintered into factions, one supporting humanity's ascension, the other opposing it. The word Anunnaki originates in ancient Sumerian mythology. It refers to a group of deities, offspring of the sky god Anu, who played a role in the creation of humanity and governed aspects of the natural world. In tablets like the Enuma Elish and the Arthritis epic, the Anunnaki appear as powerful but very human-like gods. They argue, betray, fall in love, and sometimes even get punished. In the 1970s, Arthur Zakarian Sitchin reinterpreted these stories in the book, The 12th Planet. He claimed the Anunnaki weren't gods. They were extraterrestrial beings from a planet called Nibiru, who came to Earth around 450,000 years ago to mine gold. According to Sitchin, they genetically engineered early humans as a labor force. But here's the most important part. Mainstream Sumerologists and astrologists overwhelmingly reject Sitchin's translations and claims. There's no historical or linguistic evidence that this occurred at any point in history or in any cuneiform tablet that supports his claims about Nibiru, gold mining, or human hybridization. But that doesn't stop the theory from exploding across the world and the internet. The Custodians, guardians, or controllers. Popularized in origin by Bringers of the Dawn Barbara Marisek and the Gods of Eden William Bramley, the Custodians are considered a group of non-human or semi-divine beings who have been manipulating human civilization for millennia. In some versions, they are actually the same or as descended from the Anunnaki, but others see them as opposing extraterrestrials or higher dimensional beings than the Anunnaki. Their job was to monitor Earth. Some claim as protectors, others see them as oppressive overlords, ensuring humanity remains in its rightful place. The Custodians' role in the war. The Custodians are often cast as the secret rulers, directing human history from being scenes of using religion, politics, and even warfare. They may have been in conflict with the rebellious Anunnaki factions and even the Tartarians. The Custodians is a term used in various spiritual and conspiracy writings to describe a race of beings to watch over or manipulate humanity. The idea gained traction from authors like William Bramley, who in The Gods of Eden argued that war, religion, and plague throughout history were tools to control used by shadow non-human forces. Some link these Custodians back to the Anunnaki or even biblical watchers mentioned in the Book of Enoch. In that ancient Jewish text, the Watchers are angels sent to observe humanity, but they end up breaking the rules, mating with humans and teaching forbidden knowledge like metalworking and astrology. This is where truth meets interpretation. There's no evidence of extraterrestrial control, but these are real ancient texts that speak of non-human beings interacting with early humans, at least in symbolic or spiritual matters and terms. Whether those are metaphors, visions, or something else, leads it up to interpretation. The Tartarians, the lost civilization. Tartaria is believed to have been a vast and advanced empire erased from history. Tartaria allegedly existed in Eurasia, Russia, Mongolia, Central Asia, and had access to free energy, advanced architecture, and peaceful, enlightened societies. The theory gained traction through reinterpretations of old maps, architecture, especially even mud-flood buildings, and anachronistic technology seen in 18th and 19th century photographs. The Tartarians' role in the war. Tartaria is often framed as the last human freedom and advanced consciousness of the world. According to the theory, they were destroyed in a cataclysmic war either by the Anunnaki or the Custodians alliance or by natural means, a great flood or an energy weapon, which is titled the Great Reset. It's thought to have been the deliberate erase of the Tartarian history, with evidence of world's fairs and architecture being part of the cover-up. Now comes the most controversial part of this theory, Tartaria. Tartaria or Tatari was a real name on old maps referred to vast parts of Central and Northern Asia, what we now call Russia, Mongolia, Kazakhstan, and surrounding regions. It was never a united empire, but rather the blanket term used by Western cartographers who didn't fully understand the region. So where does the idea of the advanced erased civilization come from? In the 2010s, forums began to speculate that the ornate architecture found around the world, the massive cathedrals, World's Fair buildings, Greco-Roman style courthouses, was not built in the 1800s, as we're told, but were remnants of the Tartarian high-tech civilization. Some even believe a mud flood buried these cities, and that the 19th century World's Fair were actually a repurposing of Tartarian tech and design. What is the truth? Historians have clear records of who built these structures. While there are certainly architectural marvels in the world and possibly over-engineering, there's no credible evidence of a global Tartarian empire or of suppressed technology. However, the theory was highlighted in real questions about why so much ornate architecture disappeared from the world. Did it burn? Was it lost to ancient knowledge? And how much history is written after a certain conquest? So let's recap the timeline. The arrival of the Anunnaki came to Earth for resources for mainly mining gold. Created humans as a slave race. Internal split between pro-human and anti-human factions. The rise of Tartaria, a human civilization, possibly aided by rogue Anunnaki or benevolent star races like the Pleiadians. They reached a golden age with free energy, spiritual development, and advanced tech. The war became a massive global conflict which ensued possibly a mix of ancient technology and metaphysical battles and abilities. Tartaria is defeated or wiped out by certain weather manipulations, direct energy weapons, or global floods and natural disasters. The Custodians consolidated power, rewrote history, and suppressed human knowledge. The Great Reset. After the war, a reset of history occurred. The Tartaria erased, mudfloods blamed on natural disasters, and what could be of the Anunnaki and the Custodians. So where did this idea of war between these entities or deities come from? Let's think of it like this. When people see architecture, forgotten empires, ancient texts, sky beings, it's natural to want an explanation of how things go. The war, or the so-called war, is a narrative that ties together different mysteries. The fall of great civilizations, the suppression of spiritual knowledge, the repeating cycles and resets in human history. But what is this hard truth? There is no direct archaeological or historical evidence for any of fourth interdimensional or extraterrestrial war involving the Anunnaki, Custodians, and Tartarians. But what is real, though, is the fact that history has been rewritten many, many times. The burying of the Library of Alexandria, colonial powers erasing native histories, lost cities still being discovered in the Amazon, the Sahara, and all over the world. And even many religious texts, Sumerian, Biblical, Vedic, describes certain celestial battles, floods, and resets. Maybe they're an allegory to certain things, maybe they're not. But the fascinating thing is not just the theory itself, but what it represents. It reflects a deep, suspicious, authoritarian way of living, a yearning to reclaim lost human potential, and a belief that we're part of something much larger, maybe even cosmic. Whether you believe in ancient aliens or not, deities or higher spiritual beings, these stories focus us to ask these questions. Why do so many ancient cultures talk about beings from the sky? What knowledge have we truly lost in the fires of history, or even the floods? And are we being told the full story about humanity's past, history, and what we have become to know? Maybe the real war isn't about aliens versus humans, beings versus humans, or higher beings versus humans. Maybe it's about truth versus control, memory versus erasing things, and being awoken versus the ignorance that we are being told. So that does it for this week's episode of the Conspiracy Atlas about the war of the Anunnakis, the Custodians, and the Tartarians. Thanks so much for listening and tuning in, and make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in, and this has been the Conspiracy Atlas.